Hi, this is Robert Clickybeard with the Commercial Landscaper Podcast. I'm going to take about 20 minutes of your life to deliver some amazing content from accomplished leaders and business owners to help provide you with great Ironman mindset ideas to help you scale your business to become a better leader and push yourself out of your comfort zone. We have now doubled our audience. We really hope you enjoy these shows and really encourage you to like and share with friends, family members, and your network. Based on my book, The Ironman Mindset for Entrepreneurs, I want to try and pull out one insight you could take back from your business on every single show. And ultimately, my goal is to try and make you less mistakes than I did and make your company more profitable. I'm also super excited to share that finally we've gone live with our digital courses on the Wilson 360 website, wilson-360.com. Cheers, everyone. Nice to see you guys. Thanks for joining me on the show today.
Thank you for having us. We're excited to be with you.
Thank you, Robert.
We'll get you to maybe spend a couple minutes, each of you, just to talk a little bit about your background, either in the industry or just maybe your career path. And then we'll just dive into our topic here in a minute. Chris, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. I've been in the service industry ever since I started working, and I've been in accounting ever since I graduated college. So continued with different service companies, and I've been at Bud Group now going on 6 years. So I started on the janitorial side of our business and came over to landscape to help facilitate growth and controls processes about 3 years ago.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. And Michael?
Hi, I'm Michael Bingham. I currently lead our landscape division for the Bud Group across the Southeast. And so I've been with the company for almost 22 years, have had unique opportunity to kind of reinvent myself over that 22 years and done a lot of different things with our company, been blessed to be able to do that. So I too started in janitorial. I actually started in recruiting and then moved over to operations management with janitorial, worked my way up through several positions there, and then had a unique opportunity to serve as an AVP of customer success, where I worked with like 30 of our top clients across all of our business lines, janitorial, landscaping, and facility services. And so out of that came an opportunity for me to lead our landscape division. So I've been in this role for a little over a year now. Really have enjoyed this aspect of my career and learning. And Chris and I work closely together daily. We talk multiple times. So we're like old friends now. But thanks for having us on.
So tell the listeners a little bit about the Bud Group in terms of just to get a sense of, size of company and is it, I don't know if you number of employees or number of locations, just to give them a...
Yeah, so the Bud Group is still privately held. We are over 60 years in business, founded by the Bud family. Richard Bud started the company back in the 60s and started as a janitorial supply company. And over the years, his entrepreneurial spirit, as current customers would ask, "Hey, can you know anyone that can clean my building?" And his answer was yes. And then same thing, landscaping and maintenance services and HVAC services all kind of blossomed out of that. And so that's in our DNA through our company culture, is family oriented, but also very small business minded. So today we're up to, on average, about 5,000 employees throughout the Southeast. So with operations from Virginia down into Georgia over into Tennessee.
One of the interesting things is sort of take me a little bit down memory lane where, I had my company in Phoenix. We actually had a great relationship with another janitorial company, and we just talked about, we had a lot of similar client base. There was a lot of overlap there. I think even some of our employees would then finish up working with us. Being in Phoenix, they would typically finish up about 1:30 in the afternoon and then go into work janitorial at night. So there was a lot of crossover there. And it was actually interesting because we were obviously mainly focused on the outside of the buildings. We were doing mainly commercial office buildings, and then the janitorial were doing the inside of the buildings. But it was just, we shared a lot of stories. So when you talked about janitorial and landscaping, it sort of good memories there.
Yeah.
One of the things you touch on is, sounds like you focus a lot on the client relationships, really going deep with the clients, really recognizing as good partners, and then being able to sort of serve their different needs around the buildings and properties.
Yeah, really our philosophy, we want to be known as a trusted advisor. Like that's the greatest compliment that we can have as a service provider, is where a client knows that we care and that they call us about things that we don't even do, right? And to ask our opinion or input, or, hey, do you know someone? And so we know we're winning those relationships when that happens. And then to your point, like getting you'll hear me talk about getting deep and wide in our customer relationships. So from our team, from our operations managers, our crew leaders to our operations manager, account manager, branch manager, AVP, VP level, like having different levels of relationship. So we want to know, the facility manager, but we also want to know the CFO, and we want to know, if it's a private ed, we want to know the president or the athletics director, all these key people that help make decisions on vendors, but also that we can partner with to better serve them. So it's really a kind of a deep dive relationally, which is where we've seen great success and great client retention and growth.
It's also in our DNA to do that internally, right? So we don't just do that for sales or for performance. We do that as like the Bud Group identity, right? It's in our DNA, kind of like Michael was talking about. We do that with our team, with our managers, with our field operations, all the way up. We want to be deep and wide there as well, because it does help us serve our customers better ultimately.
No, I love that, Chris. I mean, one of the things that pops in my head is that if you're serving, for example, a building and multiple different services, then I suppose you could have one, almost like an account manager who's skilled in different areas of your business that could just, do a walkthrough or drive through of the property and deal with multiple different functions rather than different individuals coming.
Yeah, we've seen some great success around multiple lines of business. To your point, like a janitorial customer where we also have a landscape relationship. So trying to streamline one point of contact on our side is huge. So they only make one call or one email, and then we take it from there. So that's definitely an advantage that we have over some of our landscape competitors, for sure, where we cross-sell for that relationally, for sure.
I assume even just with executing some of the work, you could probably see some efficiencies with, that scale, that oversight, the purchasing side as well. You probably see some benefits there as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think you see it across. We're able to sometimes put in a higher level manager that the customer has a positive experience with as a result of sharing resources. And then also we have, we're fortunate to have a lot of site-based business with like Fortune 50 companies. And so out of that, we're able to serve them uniquely for, events. If their board of directors are coming into town, for example, our teams work closely together for event setup, event tear down. So it goes way beyond landscaping and cleaning and maintenance. It's like full service turnkey, and being able to reallocate labor to different lines of business when there's challenges is a huge perk for us and advantage for us.
I'd imagine as well, just in terms of even training your people as well, you could probably do a lot of cross training there as well. If you're training, for example, with customer service or building customer relationships, then you could just build that cross skill level amongst multiple different of your workforce.
One thing we're also trying with, it's in its infancy, is like a leadership development program where we're trying to bring in, my goal is to continue to professionalize the landscape industry. What I mean by that is bringing young talent into our company and into the industry. So we put high precedence on bringing college graduates or 2-year technical degree graduates. So we've got our recruiting team working on that, recruiting that specifically, but also we've developed leadership managers and leadership training, leadership development, where they go through all 3 lines of our business over a year span. And then at the end of that year, really, it's kind of they choose which direction they would like their career path to go into. And so whether that be landscaping, maintenance, or janitorial. And so we're seeing some success out of that. We definitely want to invest in the next generation. So the guys that come behind us, that they have great ideas. They think very differently than I do and others in my generation. And we want to tap into that knowledge and passion and continue to drive change and innovation in our industry. So it's one platform that we're doing.
I like that a lot. One of the things we talked about offline was the innovation piece. Mm-hmm. That it's just always good to see what's out there, and I think a lot of companies have struggled attracting talent into their business because you know yourself. It's not exactly sexy when you start talking about landscaping or janitorial when you're trying to sell, somebody at school or college to come into the business. But what does that sales pitch look like, especially around, the innovation and maybe, technology when you're trying to get people into that leadership program per se?
Yeah, well, I really think that's the vehicle to draw interest for sure. Because to your point, like no one, I came up through the janitorial side. No one goes to school to be a janitor, right? And so, but I was very proud to be a part of that, right? And so as we professionalize the industry, we talk about innovation, and that gets people excited, and especially the younger generation, recent college graduates, and even myself, trying to find ways to do things better, faster, more efficient, but in introducing robotics and autonomous type mowers or auto scrubbers. One thing I learned under tutelage of our president, Yusuf, is we want to be on the front edge. Like to your point, a lot of vendors want to be on the, let the other guys try it and make the mistakes, and then we'll come in when all the bugs and kinks are worked out. We take the opposite approach. We want our customers to experience the best right away. And so we're willing to put our money where our mouth is and put pilot programs in place. For example, in one of our markets in North Carolina, we have 2 route-based trucks that are 100% battery operated and solar powered on a route business. And so we're one of the few companies and in the industry across the U.S. that is doing that, right? And then beyond, the politicalness of sustainability, it's more about creating a great customer experience. A lot of our customers, they care about sustainability, but it's more around noise pollution, if you will. So trying to find ways or odors, like with 2-cycle equipment. And so our approach is, hey, we in the Charlotte market, we serve a property that's the second highest rated tourism property in the state. And so they don't want their guests to experience the smell of 2-cycle oil. They don't really have a concern about overall environmental impact. It's more of a customer experience impact. So they also don't like the noise of 2-cycle engines or loud mowers. So we converted to a site-based 100% battery operated platform based off of that alone, and that puts us ahead of our competition, where we can both say that we've done it and that we would continue to do it when it makes sense for the customer and for us. So people rally around that. Sometimes I think people like, as much as some people don't like change, I think the next generation wants to see change and wants to see new ways of trying things. And so we've kind of made our name in our little network of the Southeast to be that in all lines of business. But I'm continuing to drive that on the landscape side.
And I deal with our teams, more internally. Michael deals with a lot of our customers, but just as vendors in the industry or landscape companies in the industry, education and dollar signs is what comes up around innovation, right? And so I think that we take that as a responsibility to figure this out to an extent and then communicate that to our customers, figure out those solutions, not just for us, but for our customers, as Michael mentioned. So thankfully, the way that we're structured and what we're focused on allows us to be more robust with our support teams, purchasing being one of them. We've also structured our teams internally for that innovation specifically. And that's been really neat to watch, really neat to share the innovation with our teams internally and then turn around and explain that to the customers as a possible solution.
No, this is great. I mean, great information. There's part of the thing that pops into my head is, probably all the data now that you're beginning to gather, whether it be looking at financial information, whether it be just looking at some of the information coming out of different types of software or the robotics piece. I'm just trying to pull all that information together to come up with some type of a innovative way of using it to either become more efficient or maybe sharing that data with your clients so that they're maybe able to use that with some of their reports to some of their stakeholders. And that probably helps with some of your recruitment pieces, because there's probably some great recruits out there that will geek out about getting some of that data and pulling it together. Michael, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we want to create relationships with our customers, and so internal and external, where it's a win-win. So when we win, they win, and vice versa. And so leveraging technology is, in my opinion, my humble opinion, is an avenue to do that. And so whether it's through our systems, which we just recently went through a platform implementation, and while that's painful and internally, it's going to make us better and more operationally efficient, both the remainder of this year and years to come. But certainly, I think when clients know that we're willing to take calculated risk that will reap dividends in the future for them and for us, they get that and they want to be a part of that. I think most customers and most employees are tired of the status quo in terms of, well, this is the way we all we've always done it. Like I hear that all the time when people are resistant to change. My first question to that is, well, why? Why do we do it this way? And could we consider another option to do it? So I think in attracting internal customers, our internal client pool, I think it's important that they understand that about our culture. And then I think our customers enjoy that as well, that we're not afraid to step out with it, based on research, based on data, make a good decision. And then sometimes, we're okay with failure, like being okay to say, okay, we're going to try this because we believe it's the right thing to do right now. And then, there's been times in my career with the company where we've done that. And then 3 years in, we're like, well, that didn't really go exactly how we planned, but we're a better company because of it. Even though this avenue piece of it may not have been successful, we learned this. And so we pivoted and did something else. So I think it's critical to continue to evolve and change.
Yeah, I do think that's a big value add. Specific to recruiting, I think that's a challenge we're still working through, figuring out as the whole industry is, right? There's a big generational shift. I think we're in the midst of it. So we've got to work with our teams internally more as we continue to innovate, as we continue to discover new means of innovation, equipment, whatever that may be. Obviously, we've done that with software a little bit this year. We've got to be responsible to that and develop a strategy to change our recruiting a little bit based on that innovation. We're actively working through that, but that's probably one of the next big things for us as far as the people function goes.
Circling back to something we mentioned at the beginning, where that these relationships with your clients or that partnerships, talk me through what that is like internally, where maybe there's a new idea or something innovative comes up either from the client or internally, where it's almost like goes into some type of a project or experiment. What does that look like in terms of conversations with that client, just to sort of try and roll that out and partner up with something, whether it be trying robotic mowers, whether it be battery powered stuff, or I'm sure there's a few other things I can think of.
What I say all the time, whether it's a new client that we're pursuing in the sales process or an existing client where we're trying to improve our offering, is that we always want to provide options, right? And so many times in these situations, we kind of like the good, better, best approach. And so we'll position it that way. So maybe a client has expressed interest in some type of battery operated program, rather than go jump in with both feet initially, maybe we just do it with small hand tool equipment first and kind of see what their appetite is for it there, see how it works, and then take the next step in the next budget year. Because there are costs associated with this, right? It's getting better, but right now, the trade-off is not apples to apples yet. It takes a bigger upfront investment on the electric equipment. Same thing around, technology. Other things that we experiment with a lot is around site-based versus route-based work. And so when does it make sense for this account to be, instead of sending a crew there once a week, Mr. Customer, would it make more sense to have 2 people here all week? And could you afford that? And painting the picture for them of the vision of what it could be, what it would look like. And so when you start telling stories and helping clients see the path to the future through how we communicate and how it will benefit them, that's when we win, and that's when we get buy-in. It's kind of been our strategy thus far.
And we do lean on our vendors, right? We do lean on our vendors. We lean on the manufacturers that are creating new equipment. That are trying to push the envelope in our industry. And we have some great vendor partners too. We're really fortunate for that. Being multi-line of business helps us leverage some of those relationships. So yeah,
because very infant stage, schedule a demo, right? Most of your vendor partners, if you have good vendor partners, they're willing to come out and demonstrate that. And then we make it a fun event. We'll have lunch and then try out a piece of equipment while the customer's present. So
yeah, no, I don't feel a lot of contractors take advantage of that, that vendor relationship, because they are so willing to come out and bend over backwards and try different things out, because they're always looking for that opportunity to get in front of their clients. So if you're able to then double down and meet with their customers, and I've even had situations. We used to look after, some lead buildings back in Phoenix, and, we even got the customer buy-in enough that they bought the equipment for us. And, we just went in every week and maintained it. So I think getting that buy-in from vendors, from your clients, and almost like create that mini partnership is super important.
Understanding, like your example is great on lead buildings. And, one thing that we saw during COVID is that sustainability took a back seat in most conversations. Certainly in the cleaning industry, it was all about, disinfecting and sustainability don't go hand in hand. As we come post-COVID, we're starting to see a trend where those sustainability practices are coming back to the forefront of corporations' minds. So in a LEED certification standpoint, we can help them regain recertification and LEED if we follow best practices under landscaping operations with minimizing water, for example, or choosing plants that are more drought tolerant and require less water. Just some simple things. So understanding the why versus a customer like the example I used earlier, where they're more concerned about their customer experience. They care about sustainability, but it's more about not the smells versus the environment overall. Good to understand the why and then adjust our offering or what we can bring accordingly.
Yeah, and I love the example you provided earlier about, looking at options for your client where, maybe you've the normal routine is, you have a crew or maybe one person turn up with the job. But, I think with your model where you're able to sort of offer multiple different services, and then instead of having a crew coming in once a week, having not necessarily the luxury, but just the benefits involved in having one or two people on site full time, where you're able to deal with any emergencies, any situations that come up. And for us, we tried that model as well, where rather than having one of those big trucks and trailers on the road and all that exposure to other traffic, we're not necessarily investing in that capital purchase, but we're just giving a more unique experience for our clients, and it worked out really great. Anything else to add, Chris?
I would say, sometimes it's a hybrid model, right? We've got to find that sweet spot. And I think we do a really good job at that. I'm fortunate to work for the Bud Group that has the focus and values that they do. And ultimately they're going to, serve the customer. And that's not always easy, right? It's not always straightforward. So having the mix of business, having the ability to pivot and adapt has been huge for us just over the last 3 or so years that I've been on this side of the company.
What does it look like, the future look like for the Bud Group? What does that look like in the next 3-5 years? Other major expansions, other parts of the country? What does it look like?
Well, I have a goal when I started in this role is to double our size in landscape in 5 years. And so that sounds like a lofty goal, but when you break it down mathematically, it's 12.5% year-over-year growth, which makes it seem, much more attainable, which it is. And so, our roadmap to that really is expanding the business in our key markets in the Southeast, and leveraging our existing relationships. So, the best way to build your business is to keep your business. And so it's a lot easier to keep a customer and grow the relationship than to pursue a new one. While we have, we call our salespeople BDMs, while they're out generating new business, our managers, we're all salespeople. And so that's the goal, for our organization, is that we view, we're providing great service, but we want to expand our relationships deep and wide, like we talked about earlier. And as a result, our business will continue to grow with those customers. And so that's really our number one goal. And then again, my goal for our company is to drive that innovation as well. Not wait for a government entity to require it, not wait for everyone else to catch on, but to really look for ways to improve the customer experience through equipment, through technologies, through time studies of efficiency, all those things that we sometimes take for granted that the old way is the best way. And, there's no school like the old school mentality. And there's some truth in that, but being adapted to change. And
a key part of that growth for us is improving internally, right? And that's really my customer, is more so our internal team. So going to Aspire Software earlier this year was huge. We'll continue to grow that out, and that'll help us with our growth goals. Next year, getting into H2B will help us with labor, help facilitate that growth, provide good, sustainable workers when we need them, how we need them. So we're excited about those transitions. That's just part of our innovation, the investment that the Bud Group has made into our landscape division the last 3 years. They're all key parts, right? In partnership with everything else we've really talked about on this call and the identity of the Bud Group. So I'm thankful and excited to be a part of that, especially with Michael, kind of leading the charge for the landscape division. He's been great for us on that side of the business. So exciting times.
Chris, thank you very much. Guys, Michael, Chris, I really appreciate you sharing more about your vision, sharing about the Bud Group. I wish you the continued success, and I really appreciate all your nuggets you shared today. So thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you, Robert. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. And to your listeners, I mean, we love to network more and learn from each other. So I think the more professional relationships we develop in the industry, it's a win for everyone. So thank you.
What's the best way for people to if they want to learn more about you, the Bud Group, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah, good question. For me, I mean, feel free to, I can give my email address over there. It's mbingham@budgroup.com. Just shoot me an email. I'd love to connect and meet everyone. So
I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. We are a part of NALP and we try to attend some of those networking events as well. So LinkedIn's really the best way to reach me individually.
Yeah, that's good for me as well. Thank you, Chris.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Really appreciate you joining me today, and we'll keep in touch. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Robert.
Thanks, Robert.
Okay, cheers. Thank you. Good. Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in to the Commercial Landscaper Podcast. I'm Robert Clinky-Beard, and I hope today's insights inspire you to push yourself beyond your limits, lead with purpose, and scale your business to new heights. Don't forget to check out our new digital online courses and training programs on the Wilson 360 website, and join the Boss Business Management Software community to optimize your business like never before. If you found value in this episode, please subscribe on YouTube, share it with your network. Let's grow, let's transform the industry together. Until next time, stay inspired and keep striving for greatness. Cheers, everyone.